yeah, I had to restart my computer, and I have so much stuff that pops up at restart that it's like, I don't know, it's all popping up right now. So, let's get this out of the way real quick.
McKellar Prophet. Hey, Brian, feels free to say my name here since I probably won't give you a reason to say it during the competition.
Oh,
Your name alone is reason to say it. McKellar will be competing in the pro men's teams of 2 division, I believe, Saturday and Sunday. We'll get to that later on. But thanks for being here, McKellar.
yeah, definitely appreciate it. Well, if you've been tuning in the last week, we do have a new podcast sponsor, HomeGrown Releaf CBD. And it's a brand that Brian's been working with for a while now. And we're excited to have him on. We really are. Carl, Dimitri, the whole crew there, JJ. These are all people we've met in person. Brian uses their product. I don't use their product due to my military stuff, but my dogs use the product. So, yeah. So, but if you use Friend 20, you get 20% off all HGR CBD products on their website. So, throw that out there. But Brian, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I mean, we have been referencing them over the last week or so in the run up to and post Wodapalooza, but so much. I mean, there's a lot to talk about Wodapalooza. I think at the end of our recap show, we're about 2 hours in, and I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna stop because I could just keep going down the list and singing the praises of these athletes over there. But one of the should point out that these sticks, Patrick's pointed them out before, the Relieve sticks. These are actually my go-to instead of Advil or Tylenol when I have headaches. And I sometimes do get headaches at competitions, and will apply this I usually get them in the back of my head here, and I apply it down both sides of my neck there. And this place is where I carry a lot of tension, and it happens to help a lot. And I also just wanted to highlight their gummies, CBD gummies. People have been asking if they do have these. And they do, in fact. And there was a new one that was waiting for me when I got home from Miami. But 2 of the products that I do like to use quite frequently, as I said before, sometimes don't travel with it because of where I'm going. But domestic trips, absolutely will bring them with. A big front-on-front hug. I mean,
I prefer the front-on-front as opposed to the back, front on back. I prefer those, especially from a dude. I mean, but that's just me. So,
Ryan Pot. All right. He'll probably hate me that I said his name, but that's what he gets for using the words front-on-front hug.
So like Brian mentioned, we did do a robust recap of the Wodapalooza, but now we are done with Wodapalooza. Moving on. And part of the next stop on the tour, what is this? Is this 15?
Oh my God, dude. I don't know if I can keep track of the numbers in that regard.
I think it's stop 15. I believe so. I'll have to double check. I'll look it up. But yeah, it's the next stop on the world tour. We're keeping it domestic and actually keeping it somewhat close to where you live now, which, by the way, I noticed you put a new, is that new? Did you hang something new up?
No, those have been up there.
Okay.
You just usually focused right here, so
yeah, I'm looking at your eyes, as opposed to like Draw Your Dagger, where he's just,
I don't know where he's looking.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know how this is humanly possible, but okay, Barkley.
I think he and Marius were working on something at the Wodapalooza.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, how far? So the next stop on the tour is the Fittest on the Coast, which you will be a part of the media team. You, Lauren Khalil, a bunch of talented content creators as well. It looks obviously Draw Your Dagger is going to be there. Our own Rafael Pederis is going to be up there as well. Paredes, sorry. Sorry, Raf, don't beat me up or don't squat me. Yeah, so that's the next stop on the tour. And it's I don't know how to kind of describe it. I mean, you go from a high that is Wodapalooza, and I don't want to say, but you go to something like Fittest of the Coast. how do we get excited for that coming off something like that? And I think you have the remedy for that, or you can get us excited for it, because after reading the article that we just published literally like 10 minutes ago, there's some potential superstars or up and coming superstars in the sport of CrossFit, as well as the competition itself. The competition itself is you highlighted it's in terms of scale, it's up there, especially domestically.
Yeah. If you're just kind of new to B.Friendly Fitness, this year I've freed up my schedule, I guess, or may try to make this more full-time in terms of the ability to travel. And as opposed to the previous years where I was coaching full-time at a gym and could only get to 6 or 7 events a year, obviously you have to be pretty selective with those, but CrossFit competitions are happening all the time. Fittest of the Coast, Kyle Oland runs it. He's popped up on my radar. I can't remember exactly the origins of that, but we've communicated over months to a year now, and he wanted to get me out there. I think he's put together something pretty cool, and a lot of people actually run competitions there. They take it really seriously, and they have different reasons and ambitions or goals maybe, but for Kyle, this started in 2020, and this will be the 5th year. So 2021, 22, 23, and 2024 will be year number 5. That first year, they had just over 200 athletes participate in the live competition. This year, they had nearly 4,000 online qualified participants, and 1,400 athletes will be competing this weekend in Charleston, South Carolina, spanning 41 divisions from 37 different states. So there's a lot going on there, and this is the case at a lot of these competitions. And as Patrick mentioned, there's a pretty good media team. I met one of the media directors, Will, in Miami. Actually, I was finally able to meet him in person. Sarah Beth Lowry, who's done some competitions with me, will be there. And then, as Patrick mentioned, Lauren Khalil. Lauren will be doing more of the total competition community experience type of coverage, and I'll focus more on the pro divisions. There are 5 pro divisions there: individual men, individual women, and then 3 teams of 2 divisions: male, male, female, female, and male, female. So the article that Patrick is referencing, it lists the roster of athletes that we've been given for each of those divisions. And then there's a shout out to some of the media team there, and then highlights a couple athletes or teams in each division, and concludes with the programming as far as I'm aware of it, which it seems like the individuals are competing Friday, Saturday, and then the team Saturday, Sunday. There are some athletes that are doing both, and with the way that the schedule is created, I think it's created with the intention that you can do both if you want to. Similarly to what we saw at Wodapalooza, that requires some thoughtfulness in terms of not just the schedule, because you have to make it available for people to not just do those events, but also make time for them to be at the briefings for those things, and have time to cool down and recover, whatever. But also with the programming, and if we, I don't know how much we'll get into the programming or not, but you'll see that there are some things that are used in the pro division and the team division, or the individual division and the team division, but not really much overlap in terms of specific movements. So, for example, you might have sandbag cleans in one and sandbag squats in the other, or something like that.
Yeah. So, like Brian said, the article is up live now. But this is this podcast is basically the companion piece to that. So we'll go a little bit more in depth than what he did in the article. But this is, like Brian said, let's start off with the pro male indie, and these are the most notable names.
No, this is the full roster.
Oh, it's just the full roster. Okay, so it's
16. Okay. It seems like 16 is a number. 16 men and 16 women, I believe, are competing.
Roughly 2 heats of 8, then.
Correct.
I would imagine. Yeah. Okay. Which is, I like heats of 8 as opposed to like heats of 10 or anything above that. It's just a little bit more manageable to just watch, especially if there's the competition gets really exciting. I like heats of 8.
Half of the division comes from North or South Carolina, a few from Georgia as well, but we get as far as Indiana, Illinois, Texas, Pennsylvania, Ohio, just in this division alone. So a lot of East Coast, some Midwest, and then even branching out to Texas in the case of Zach Ramirez, who's coming from Einhorn CrossFit.
Really?
Who has we'll see a lot more, I think, people from them competing the week after at the Fittest experience, which is in Texas. But Einhorn CrossFit had a team go to the games this past year, and they have a pretty good environment there for training. A lot of the athletes on this list are athletes that I have never seen compete in person before, with a varying amount of experience and in age, quite frankly. I'm just looking at that comment there from McKellar. I'm not entirely sure of the qualification process and how this sorted itself out. This is just the roster that I was sent, and so it's what we've prepared for. As always, when it comes to these competitions, Barclaydale and B.Friendly Stats is where we pull all of our information from. So as you're watching next or over the course of the weekend, and you hear me rattling off information about some of these athletes, that's primarily where we're getting that information from. But as you see here, of the 16, 5 of them were at the North America East semifinals last year. Evan Rogers had definitely the standout performance amongst those 5 and also qualified for Wodapalooza as an individual. This past week, he was there competing in the elite division. He finished 27th. His best finish came on the final. I list kind of his top finishes here in the article. He also did well on a deja vu workout. Seems to be really good with gymnastics and like moderate weight cycling of weights of a variety of kinds. He's a tough dude. He's got a lot of fitness. Well, it's always interesting to see people compete on back-to-back weekends. So hopefully he does show up. But if he does, even considering the fact that he competed there, I'd expect him to be in or around the conversation for the win or at least the podium.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a 7-day break, but I'm sure he took one rest day in there, probably, maybe 2.
Well, if he's anything like me, hopefully he got 12 hours of sleep on Monday night.
And
yeah, so Jordan's a monster too. Individual comp should be a lot of fun to watch. Jordan Lundin.
Yeah.
He lists CrossFit Mayhem, but he's from South Carolina. He has team experience and games experience. Well, it's always tough to know on the games. He was listed on a games team that made the CrossFit Games in 2022. They placed 5th at Granite Games. So I don't know. It was Rhapsody CrossFit. I don't know for sure if he was one of the 4 athletes that actually competed there or not. But Owen Bernstein was on that team, Jared Shaw, and these are guys that I know. So definitely in good company.
Yeah. But it looks like Evan's kind of the I guess coming in the favorite based on performances and what we know about him. Is Evan someone you have ranked in your top 200? Do you recall?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, he was 15th at that semifinal.
Sure.
He was 4 points behind Tyler Christoffel, and he was actually in a super tight grouping with Christoffel, Hatfield, Sprague, and Spencer Panchik. It was an awesome semifinal for him. And he just didn't get like talked about as much as those guys. He hadn't, Austin obviously went and did an off-season competition, Crash Crucible, that had a lot of contention on it and won that competition. Rogers' first competition is in Miami, where he placed, I think, is 27th. But I mean that field is incredibly deep and talented, and it's only 5. It was only 5 events. Semifinals were 7. And this is kind of just the state of CrossFit in North America, especially. Well, it's true on the women's side too, but I would say even more so on the men's side, is that there's just this group of guys that, if you're talking about a 5, 6, 7 event competition, what is chosen to be included in that and how it's included, whether, if you're going to put snatching in a competition, for example, there are athletes in that range that will do much better if it's cycling moderate weight snatches for reps as opposed to a 1 rep max snatch or a complex. Evan would fall into that category. So, and of course, anyway, that's all just to say that in individual competition that's 2 or 3 days long with 6, 7 events, the programming matters. And Rogers can certainly be threatening for across a game spot, or he could be, drop all the way down to 30th or something in a semifinal field, just depending on a few different things there. But he's very good. And I would say he's one of probably the 2 favorites right off the bat. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Those are offers to you. You always get the better offers. I mean, I get nothing out of these, but
He'd say we have bunk beds and the bottom bunks available at PC. You can sleep on the floor.
well, I think he was I think he mentioned. I'm pretty sure he's implying that he gets one of the bunks. He
Right.
gets the top bunk. But the question from Davis Brown.
Probably not in terms of coverage, like live coverage of it. We'll, as I said, Lauren Klee will be there, and a lot of the media team will have focus on the totality of the competition. But as far as streaming, I'll probably stick to the pro divisions.
Yeah, but you certainly will be watching, though.
Always watching.
Always watching. Always watching. So we mentioned these top 5 right here based on semifinals experience, but the person that I'm actually interested in seeing is the guy you mentioned next, Dre Strohm.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people, if you know who Dre Strohm is, will know him from the 2019 CrossFit Mayhem Championship team. By the way, everyone keeps saying Logan Brown. I don't have much information on Logan Brown. If you are a fan of Logan Brown, coach, friend, training partner, whatever, and this is true for anyone who's in this competition, DM me on Instagram on my personal account with information that you know about these athletes. If there's a specific workout that you think that they could do well in, if there's some other competition history that I can help to, contextualize who they are and why we should be looking at them for people when I'm doing those live streams, all that information is super helpful for me. Here, Corey Albers does say London did compete at the 2022 games on Rhapsody's team. So he's got, Jordan has that games experience, but also individual experience at semifinals last year. Logan is good unless you have handstand push-ups. Yeah. So anyway, please feel free to send that information. The best place is just Instagram, DM me. I'll find it there, even if it comes into requests, and I'll just add it to my notes so that we can, there's only going to be 8 athletes per heat, it seems like, so we can have a chance to talk about as many of these guys as possible. And many of them are young and new and upcoming, or are maybe a little bit older, late 20s, and have a lot of experience and are kind of looking to take that next step, which we often see for both men and women in this sport in that 27, 28-year-old range. So send me that stuff. Anyway, Dre Strohm, 2019 games champion with Rich Froning and the crew from CrossFit Mayhem. Prior to that, qualified for regionals, starting in 2014, made it every year through 2018. This has been a central regional during that time. I think 5 out of the 6 years he was in the central regional, which was a really difficult region for a lot of those seasons. He finished 10th there twice in both 2016, 2018. And he hasn't done that much competitive CrossFit since then at high levels. I think he did do the 615 throwdown a year or 2 ago, and he might have won that.
He won that one. That was actually a pretty decent field. It had Ben Davidson was in it, Seth Stovall, Daniel Koos. And the 615 throwdown is actually a pretty decent competition in terms of kind of up and comers in the Midwest, Central America region, or Central US region.
Yeah. It just happened this past weekend while Wodapalooza was going on. Our buddy Greg Langto from Montreal was over there on the mic for the MC, and he said a lot of good things about 615 throwdown. So, but those are the types of competitions, if any, that we've seen Dre in recent years. I think he was planning to make a run individually last year, but he ended up hurting himself, I think, in that competition, maybe.
Correct.
And took out off the season. So he's always training. He's in a great environment down there. This guy, like, they have a running event. Like, I don't know if anyone can beat him on the run. It's just a 4K run. He's really good at the long stuff, but he's pretty strong, great mover, ton of experience. So I expect that if Dre's showing up to this healthy, that he's going to be in the hunt, just like Evan Rogers will be for a podium and maybe even to win it. Yeah.
In this post right here, this is right after he got the surgery on the foot after 615. So it's been a year. Unlike after a 2019 season, I won't be taking 2.5 years off from CrossFit and running 40 miles a week. I'll be training and working on my weakness, handstand push-ups. And with Macy Strong's blessing, I'll be giving individual another go in the 2024 season. So, that's exciting news. It's kind of funny when you think about Mayhem athlete and what it is now in the Mayhem empire. Dre might have been like one of the first proteges, one of the first Rick Froning proteges. He was someone that came into I think he had a collegiate football background, moved down to Cookeville to train with Rich, literally and figuratively, and he like you said, he was a regional competitor, and then he jumped on that team, and he
Well, you
currently
just look, if he's making regionals all the way back in 2014,
Mhm.
that means that he's training probably prior to that for a few years, and he may have
Yep.
seen Rich train with the likes of Dan Bailey and Elijah
Mhm.
Muhammad, and just thinking about the breadth and depth of experience and exposure that Dre's had to high level training in this sport, he's pushing past a decade of that now.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and he's still, it looks like he's splitting time between Mayhem and I believe he has CrossFit Evansville, so Evansville, Indiana, which isn't too far. It's probably maybe 2.5, 2-hour drive, but, he still is involved in Mayhem. I believe he handles all their merchandising or, designs for their merch. I think that's what he typically does. That's at least that's what he did last year in regards to Mayhem, so, um, yeah, I'm excited to see Dre Strom. I've every time I've been to Mayhem, he's always been cool. He's a guy I judge when at regionals when I was judging back in the day. So it's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to him.
yeah, and we got some kind of the athletes that we don't know as well. What's up, Bruce? Great to see you last weekend, man. Thanks for everything that you did down there with Downtown Strength all weekend. As far as some of the other athletes in the field, sometimes in the men's field, sometimes you just look and you see their affiliate that they're coming from, and you realize that even though if I don't know much about these athletes, if they're coming from that affiliate, then they're probably in a
Mm,
pretty good training environment. We have Jackson Drohan. He's from CrossFit Crash.
yep.
We've done the Crash Crucible, so and I know Jackson well. I see Quinn Robinson, CrossFit Reignited ILM, another North Carolina
Yep.
gym that's had some success on the team side of things. Tristan Meredith with Blacklist. Well, it says Blacklisted HQ there. Um, what's that gym? It's that's actually a training program.
Hmm.
You see people come out, but generally they have some other athletes who've listed that as well. And as we said, Zach Ramirez from Einhorn CrossFit. So even if I don't know the athletes, sometimes when I see like affiliates that pop up or training programs that pop up that have had a lot of success, I take note of that. So hopeful, looking forward to learning more about some of these guys. And obviously, if you have some information, send it our way. But I would say probably if I had to like pick a podium here, just off the bat, I would go with Evan, Dre, and maybe Jordan Lundeen as the kind of favorites for that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. It'll be, obviously Evan, who's been coming. It'll be interesting how wrecked his body is after last week. And granted, it was only 5 events. Um,
Right,
but
and it ended on Friday, so
yep. So he had plenty of
he
time.
has a full week to recover. It's not like he did the team competition too and was
Mhm.
just getting off the floor on
Yeah,
Monday. That would be a totally different beast, I would say.
yeah. What you mentioned about kind of like looking at camps or gyms or affiliates they're coming from, it kind of gives you kind of an inside look into athlete. I kind of noticed that with the female indie. If we want to move on to them,
Yep, absolutely.
because training camp or the gym that I kept on seeing a lot was training think tank. Obviously, training think tank not being too far from that area. We have quite a few training think tank athletes in the field in the indie field.
Yeah, really in all the fields, I think, and I'm sure
Mhm.
that they even have athletes that are distributed further, throughout divisions that aren't just the pro. But yeah, as far as training think tank athletes in this division go, Hannah Hardy and Pip Clark are the two that are
Mhm.
listed there. Both of them had fairly good seasons last year. Pip's team took 23rd in North American East, and Hannah Hardy with TTT Black qualified for the games and finished 22nd there. Both of them competing in the individual field. Hannah Hardy's already done some, individual competitions this offseason.
I believe Jessica Schwartz was a TTT athlete last year. I don't know if she is this year, but she was last year. And And then Jenna McVeigh, she was an underdogs athlete last year. I don't know if she is this year as well. But definitely some more recognizable names, at least for me. I know Bryn Carrick, she's made the games on a team back in 2021, I believe, with Ignited.
Mm-hmm.
And then and then Amanda, I think it was Amanda. Yeah, Amanda Fisher had a really good semifinal, especially that first day with the
Well, yeah, scroll down. Let's just take a look at,
yeah,
just
yeah.
from this past year, the success within this field. 3
Mhm.
semifinalists in North America. Amanda Fisher, as Patrick was referencing, placing 18th there. Jessica Schwartz, 31st, and Madeline Helms, 59th. On this field has actually some very well accomplished team athletes.
Mhm.
So in the next section there, we can take a look and see Shaylin Lora, who is there's plenty to be said about Shaylin Lora here, but she
Yeah.
was this past season 11th place with Franco's Misfit at the games. But Patrick, I think, had reached out to her and found some stats, which you'll see in the article that I'll let him share with you guys.
Yeah, I contributed to B.Friendly stats. Yay. Eat it, Barkley.
Well, tell him what you found out, because it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so we'll just kind of jump to that. We'll come back to some of these other athletes because obviously there's some more to talk about. But when it comes to Shaylin, Shaylin's only been competing competitively from CrossFit for 3 years, and part of the reason why is she used to be an Army officer, an infantry officer, and then she left that and she moved on to she's an FBI agent now. So she, that's what she's been doing. So she's actually only been doing competitive CrossFit for 3 years now. She's a little bit, she's 31, 32, I believe. So she started a little bit late when it came to CrossFit. Always, obviously, with her background, has always been fit, but through CrossFit, because she started a little bit late, she's trying to get as much competition experience as possible. And if those who don't remember, she was a part of she actually qualified for the games on the shoe fly team back at the 2021 MAC. And unfortunately, that team, one of their athletes tested positive for performance in PED. So that team did not make it to the games. I believe what do you remember? Did they finish second or third?
I think
Second, yeah. Yeah, that was a very interesting team because it was filled with military veterans and military spouses. So it was it would have been a really interesting story if they would have made it to the games. So so her season ended there, but she wanted to keep on competing, get more experience. So she started just competing in every competition she could think of. And I believe that year, that off season, she podiumed in 6 events. And then last year the past off season after that, she competed she won 8 individual competitions in the off season from 2022 to 2023. 8. And that includes winning the RX division at Wodapalooza, which we've talked about many times, is a great it's a great indicator of where your CrossFit success or future success will be. She won Crash Crucible, which I believe you're at.
I wasn't there that year. No.
Oh
This
yeah,
was
she
the
wasn't.
first Crash Crucible I was able to go to this year.
Yeah. She won the Monster Game comp, which is a pretty big comp here in the Midwest. And I believe she might have won the Pensacola, what is that, the Beach Brawl? I believe she might have won there. And then she won this. She won this last year. She won the Fittest of the Coast last year. So wherever this woman goes, and that she parlayed that into going in on the Franco's Misfits team that included 3 games veterans, Brandon Luckett, Logan Collins, and her current roommate right now, and newly retired CrossFit athlete, Alexis Johnson. So yeah.
Oh,
So
well done, Patrick. Great
yeah.
research. A lot of a lot of information on Shaylin Lora, and one of
Mhm.
the athletes certainly to be, take a look at here. We mentioned Hannah Hardy, also having the games experience on a team this year, and then Caroline Klutz, who they're listed 29th there with Grit House. They had to withdraw due to injury.
Mhm.
But Caroline also did the Masters semifinals for the 35 to 39 division. We know how competitive that is. She was 5th place online there. And Caroline was at Crash Crucible. She competed in the Masters division.
Mhm.
They did the exact same workouts as the Elite division. And of the 7 workouts there, she would have had a first, second, 7th, 8th, I think. But then 2 finishes of 15th and 28th on the high skill gymnastics stuff with the ring muscle ups and the parallel handstand push ups. So definitely, even though she's in the Masters divisions, she is an athlete who has shown the capacity in individual fields to mix it up with some of the best regional athletes in the Southeast. So, for example, in the 5K run or the 4K run, excuse me, I think she'll do well. We'll look at some of the workouts in a minute. But, chipper style stuff, grinding style stuff, moderate weight, and lower skill gymnastics. Klutz is extremely talented. I don't know what her plan is this year. Maybe I'll talk to her this weekend, whether they're going to run it back with the Grit House or if she may give it a go in the Masters division with 40 athletes eligible to qualify for the Masters Legends CrossFit Games this year. She's absolutely can make it there, no problem. And I don't really know how well she would do against the best in the world in that division, but I think top 10 at worst is something that's safe to say for Caroline.
Yeah. Before we move on, Carl here.
Do we know the dates for that yet?
We don't. I will reach out to maybe Carlos, who runs the media team there every year for the Pensacola one in the fall. So I'll reach out. But that's definitely something that I would love to do, or the team. I think absolutely, if it works in our schedule, that's definitely a competition that's circled. But an athlete I want to kind of go back, Brian, is I want to kind of talk about Jessica Schwartz, only because I have some knowledge of her too. I mean, she's I believe only 25. She's been competing in CrossFit for a while now. I remember 2017. She was a regional athlete in 2017, I believe, as a 19-year-old, and she's one of those athletes who just continues just plugging along. She's from Chicago originally, lives in Florida now. Like I said, former training think tank athlete. I believe she's a former training think tank athlete anyways, but she's someone to keep an eye on. She has tons of individual experience and team experience. It was I was surprised she wasn't competing at Wodapalooza, but then when I saw her name on this roster, it totally makes sense now. So definitely someone I think could podium, if not win it, depending on how the weekend goes for her.
Can you pull up this question from Jay?
Yeah.
Brian, where could someone find a list of online qualifiers and competitions? It seems to be impossible to find a compiled list. So this is like when I see Carl ask about beach brawl in Pensacola there, that's because we have been trying to keep track of competitions that already are planned or have dates listed for all of 2024. And with the intention of trying to be involved with as many competitions on as many weekends as possible. If we can travel there, great. Otherwise, remotely, is also an option, not as desirable to me. But when, so for example, if the Pensacola Beach Crawl is scheduled on the third week of September, and that is like the 13, 14, 15, then I don't have anything else on the calendar. If it's the week after that, that's Wodapalooza SoCal and the Adaptive CrossFit Games. And so for every week of the season, if you say, hey, I'm thinking of having a competition on this week, I can tell you, what's going on. If you have a competition that you are interested in us working with or with me working for, reach out to me and we can add it to the calendar and talk about what's possible there. And if you haven't scheduled it yet, I can potentially direct you into some specific times of the season that are less busy than others. Depending on who you're trying to target, there's some good times to choose and it's not great times to choose, as there are, we have many weekends specifically in that September and October. But where there's duplicate weekends on the same time. July is busy as well. June's not that busy. February is not that busy. So we are keeping a list of that. I haven't really made it public because not all of those competitions dates are public. But if you're interested in something specifically, you can ask me if you have interest in working with us in some capacity or just getting some advice of when might be a good time to schedule a competition. Reach out and we can help you with that. And I hope that at some point that we can provide, whether it's through B.Friendly Fitness or somewhere else, that we can provide a more comprehensive schedule for the entire season for people like Jay that are kind of trying to look for that and maybe plan a season or look for a competition that fits within their yearly schedule or whatever works for them.
I don't want to think about
Nick, you better be at that one.
Yeah, I don't even think about Wodapalooza SoCal right now.
Why
But
not?
after what? Well, one, I probably won't be there, but two, just I'm still trying to recover from Wodapalooza Miami, so but that's on my own fault. Um, Yeah. Another thing Brian mentioned is like even if that we are looking at possibilities, and maybe we kind of did that with Fit Fest and Dubai, where if we or Brian can't make it to a competition, we will, if it's a competition that we think we need to be at, we'll figure out some way to get some type of media access or content. And I think that's part of the reason. I mean, there's lots of reasons to bring like someone like Bella on board, where if she's not at the same location, maybe Bella or someone, maybe, someone else that we can send there as well. So we do understand that something like that might happen, but that's part of what we're trying to do here is trying to help these competitions, trying to get more words out, just trying to, better the sport. So, but good question. Good question, Jay. And yeah, that's something we're working on.
Carl mentioned Bill Lloyd here. Actually,
Yeah.
I
The
think I saw
bricklayer.
I
Love
saw
it.
Bill Lloyd at the bar restaurant at the top of the hotel at Masters Fitness Collective and had a little conversation with him there. He is a super fit dude. And speaking of MFC, that's the week after Wodapalooza SoCal next year. So just as an example, if you're curious for that stuff, reach out.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, we'll see you twice this year then.
I know. Bring the burritos. I will eat the breakfast burrito this time. Last year you hit me up with the breakfast burrito. I forgot what was that name of that place, but it was amazing. So I didn't actually take you up on an offer that time, but anyways,
I'm
all right.
trusting Nick with food recommendations.
Oh God, if
Especially
anyone's
in California.
yeah, he was one. I mean, he was 100% on that. So, um, um, more North American team semifinals. You mentioned Pip Clark. And then again, we talked about Shaylin. Anyone else in the women's field you want to talk about? I believe Madeline Helms. I don't think we really talked too much about her. Not the greatest finish in North America East, but what else do we need to know about her?
Also competed this off season. Sometimes I get Crash and Charlotte Classic
Yeah.
confused. I think it was Charlotte Classic though. She was in the top 10 of whichever one she competed at.
Mhm.
27 years old. She's amassing some relevant competition experience, and I think that I mean there certainly could be athletes in this field that I don't know about that could surprise, but I would say that expecting her to be somewhere between fourth and eighth, so in the top half of this field, is probably a safe pick for her. And then I know you'd mentioned her, Jenna McVie. She's one of the older athletes in the field, 34.
Mhm.
We saw her compete out in Iron Games earlier this year. She impressed me over there. It's the only time I've seen her compete. And a few other athletes that I'm just looking forward to seeing. Einhorn CrossFit representative Sierra Cole is in this field, coming over from Texas. We got Emily Salome coming down from New York. Ashley Lanone or Ianon. I'm not sure if that's an I or an L. I think it's an I. Ianon from Massachusetts. So hopefully they're able to get out of the north and get down here. It's not warm down here necessarily, but there's not 2 feet of snow and it's not negative 20 degrees. Gabby Bellinger.
Got some Gabby Bellinger fans here.
She's from South Carolina, so maybe local. I don't even have a CrossFit Games profile in our database for her, so I'll have to do some digging there. But if you have any information on Gabby, it's an I. Okay, that's what I thought. Hi, Ashley. See you this weekend.
Ashley. Appreciate it.
If you have any information on Gabby, send it my way. Chandler Garlow, if you know her, I don't have much on her. So anyone who knows those people, feel free to send them down. John Kim, 55 to 59 years old. Kyle, who runs this competition, actually sent me some information on John Kim. Let me pull it up here. John Kim looking to become the only 5-time winner in the Fittest of the Coast history. Kim is one of 21 athletes while competing for the 5th consecutive time. He took second at the 2023 CrossFit Games in his division. So I would say he's got a great chance to repeat again, or 5-peat, or whatever you call that. Some other athletes that he pointed out were Justin Reidelbeck and AJ Nicely from CrossFit Addict semifinal team. They're looking to become 3-time Fittest of the Coast male team champions in the pro division. I don't even think I highlighted them in this article, but certainly will be amongst the favorites there. And then he mentioned Shaylin Lora, not only the pro female winner, but a 3-time champion there, 2 times on a team, including winning in the first year of female team division with Shelby Neal, who made the games last year for the first time.
Yep.
So, and this is really cool too. These guys sent me all the contextual history of 5 years, so I could see like the increase in participation, the way that they've expanded and grown. He sent me info for this year. So there's like 520 individual athletes competing this weekend, 870 team athletes, the number of divisions, the number of staff, all of this stuff, some individual accomplishments. And he says that this Fittest of the Coast is the 3rd largest CrossFit-based event in the country, behind only Wodapalooza and Atlantic Coast Classic, which are both in Florida. So if, that's great information to be able to send us, to be able to communicate to people who might not know about Fittest of the Coast yet.
B.Friendly shirt and catch an event win into RX. So if you bring me one, I think he meant to say bring me one. So they was requesting an B.Friendly shirt and an event win.
Let me look and see I don't know how much apparel I have here, but maybe I could bring something over.
If not, I think
mostly it's only going to be size large. So hopefully that works.
Yeah.
You look like you're huge in that picture.
Yeah, that's right. He can cut the sleeves, make it a crop.
And by the way, I have during this podcast, I did find out who Logan Brown is. I actually know him. I've met him. I don't know much about him, but I'm excited to see him compete. It's the first time I get to watch him compete.
Good. Well, it seems like he's going to have quite the fan base there, at least people that know who he is. So, we talked about so we'll move on. If you wanted, we could talk about, again, this is fairly unique. You mentioned Shaylin kind of pulling double duty last year, winning both the team and the individual division, but they have a co-ed male and female teams. Anyone kind of highlight on that? Obviously we barbell and hickeys and big old thickies. That's one that kind of sticks out to me because our own, not just the name. It's because our own.
That's not Tyler Watkins who you think.
It isn't? Oh.
No, there's another guy. There's another Tyler Watkins from Maryland. He's much fitter than the Heat 1, the fake Tyler Watkins.
The fake Tyler Watkins.
Well, that's because Tyler from Heat 1 app is his middle name.
Yeah.
But Tyler Watkins, 31 years old, he's been competing for a while. And like you said, he's in this division. For a lot of the team divisions, it ends up that there's one teammate that I know and one teammate that I don't know.
Yeah.
In many cases like that, I'll be trying to, find out about the other one. Mm-hmm. But when you're looking at some of the teams here, we have already talked about Caroline Klutz and Jordan London. They're on a team called CrossFit May Him/Her. So I would say that's probably a decent team. Amanda Fisher is competing in this competition with
Oreo pancakes.
Vicky Patrick Long. Obviously Fisher quite good. Johnny Charles, who just competed in Wodapalooza in teams. He was 20th at Team EFP and he was 32nd at the North American semifinal last year. He's teaming up with a woman named Haley Barbaritz. And so these are the kind of the things that I keep seeing is like, I know one of the athletes, Madeline Helms, has a teammate. It's Charlie Jones. I feel like I've seen that name before, but I don't have any information on him. And then I would say probably the favorites are Corby Foxall and Shaylin Lora. So I would pick them. I would pick Caroline and Jordan most likely second. And it seems to be a bit of a toss up after that with a lot of teams that have at least one really good athlete. And then maybe depending on how good the other athlete is or shows up or can hang, could be several teams that maybe get that last spot in. The Grit House has a team here. Hunter Osment has been on the second team for them, I believe, in the past. Maybe he was on their top team this last year, but he's competing with Amanda Whitechens, who I don't know much about. She was 257th in quarterfinals this past season. So she's not, she's certainly respectable. So another team that could potentially be good. There is one workout with a 2-person worm in it. We know the worm can be decisive. We saw that at Wodapalooza where, some teams that had great performances on the non-worm workout struggled with it. And so in some of these cases where you have the Shaylin Loras, the, Caroline Klutz, the experience on the team side, Hunter Osmond's, that can certainly be advantageous.
Yeah. I love these names. Circa do sore legs.
Cirque to sore legs.
Yep. I love it. I love it. Not fast, just furious. Oh man. You mentioned the double dipping. And you mentioned
Yeah.
Johnny Charles and Haley. Then we pro male teams of two, so it's not the co-ed team. So quite a few teams here as well. I'm trying to see if I see any names that kind of pop out to me.
Again, it's six. It seems like 16 is the number, like we said. So I have 16 teams listed
Yep.
here. And there's one team that was incredibly annoying because they wrote that their team name is so long. It's the McKellar Profits team. Thunder Lips
Damn
and
it.
the Ultimate Meatball. I had to actually truncate it. Couldn't even fit it on the lines there.
Yeah. There
But
you go.
they're definitely not the team to watch here.
Oh, you're only saying that because he's listening or watching.
I know McKellar, and he was here for Charlotte Classic. He's a great
Yeah.
dude. He's hilarious, and he's one of these guys that like you can meet him, and within a few minutes, you already feel like you can joke around with him, and he's a cool guy. But look, the training think tank team at the bottom right there with Chris K is what everyone calls him,
Yeah.
and
Lee.
in training think tank, and Lee Sharon. Lee was third. Chris was fourth at the elite division of Charlotte Classic over here. Chris has some team experience with one of Training Think Tank's teams. Those guys will absolutely be one of the two favorites, I would say, to win. The other one, which I didn't highlight in the article, is got to be the Justin Reidelbeck AJ Nicely team that Kyle sent me information on. They're looking like I said, they're looking to become a 3-time champion in this division. I think they will have their work cut out for them. But they, sometimes athletes just do really well in a certain place. They obviously have experience and confidence there. There's a team called Pig and a Rhino with Daniel Sterling and Quentin McQueen. Quentin McQueen finished 8th. Daniel was 11th at Crash Crucible in the men's pro division over there. Quentin turned some heads on day number 1 where he finished, I think, 3rd and then 2nd to have the overall lead after one day of competition. Faded down to 8th, but Daniel's 21, I think, and Quentin's 22. So these are young guys in the Northeast getting some good high-level competition experience individually here, competing on a team. I think they're in the mix for the podium for sure. And then the Holler Boys, James East and Logan Martin. James East was on the CrossFit Ennepe team at Crash Crescendo last April. They took 2nd place. They qualified. They had a team qualified to the games as well. And Logan Martin has some team experience with, I'm trying to blank on what it is, but I think I wrote it in the article there. Anyway, so those are kind of the teams that I know about. There's some athletes competing here who I know but haven't seen in a while and or I don't know their teammate well. Jake Fry on Mustache and a Mullet was a qualifier for the original Rogue Invitational as an individual. I think he finished 18th out of maybe 18 that finished the competition that year, but just making it to the Rogue Invitational through the qualifier ever is a huge accomplishment. Robert Yates is a name that I've seen before in some of the Southeast competitions. So as always, there will be people that we're learning about. Josh Harden looks familiar to me. Still will be doing some more research on some of these guys over the next day or two as I prepare, for this coming off the back of Wodapalooza. But right off the bat, I would say Training Think Tank, CrossFit Addict Ascend with AJ and Justin, maybe James East, and then Quentin and Daniel. Those are probably the 4 teams I'm looking at to have the best chance to podium.
Banner Masters Classic, June 15, one-day local competition. We're going to don't know what we have planned that day, but I don't know how far Atlanta is from you. But big CBD people, as are we. Thank you, Carl.
We'll put it on here just for now. Carl's the guy who owns HGR CBD. He's a great dude. He's super supportive, and he likes to get out there and compete. He came to Charlotte Classic and competed in the Masters division here, in addition to having a booth for his company. So
compete at Monster Comp too.
Will you have a sec at Fittest for a photo? Of course, man. Ooh. Yeah, please. Anyone who's over there, don't ever hesitate. I mean, if I'm live streaming an event, that's probably not the best time to do it outside of, or if we're filming something outside of that, please don't hesitate. Even if I'm walking by, grab my attention, say hello. You must tell me your name, and then I will take a picture with you. Yeah, happy to do that, of course. That's what always happens. People are like, Brian, hey, can I get a picture? And they forget to introduce themselves. It's like, I may not remember everyone's name, but it's nice to put a name with a face and be able to say thank you for the support or whatever reason that you're asking for a picture.
You probably don't want to know some of the reasons.
But the name's okay.
Yeah. Pro female teams of 2. Oh, I can get this all on one page. Great.
Yeah, I think there's only 12 in this division.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say this is the division that I probably know the least about overall.
Ashley's pulling double duty. Ashley Ionon. It's with an I, so I know. I have to work on that pronunciation.
And so, obviously, by the time she competes, we'll have some information on her from the individual side of things to help put into context. But again, Training Think Tank has a team, the Breakfast Club. Ansley Tucker, I looked her up, didn't have a ton of information. Pip Clark, obviously coming off the team semifinal experience. But for me, the Lean Machines, Emily Torres and Teresa Harvey is the one that jumps off the page here initially. I've seen them both compete this offseason. They have super similar body types. I wrote it in the article, so I wouldn't get confused there, but they've competed, I think, at 3 competitions cumulatively that I've been at. Desert City, Crash, Crucible, and Charlotte Classic. I think Emily took second in Desert City. Teresa took 4th at Charlotte Classic and maybe about 20th in Crucible, something like that. Anyway, just based on the fact that I don't know as many women or teams in this division, I would have to say that they're probably one to watch. Crash has a couple ladies going to compete there, Jennifer Schultz and Jessica Rubo. I've seen them compete. Jessica podiumed, I think, in the RX division, not the elite division, but the RX division at Charlotte. But I think she probably could have competed elite if she wanted to. Just didn't want the extra day of competition. I think she couldn't get in on that day ahead of time for the offsite stuff. But they might be a sneaky podium pick. And other than that, again, I just need to learn about some of these teams. Okay, well, look at that.
There you go.
So that's kind of a run through of the pro divisions. Please don't hop in a while again. I don't want to be destroyed by you again.
Oh, wow. Okay, Brian.
That was unexpected. I was standing there at MFC with Bobby Petras, who runs that competition, and I told him I was like eager to work out, and there was an open lane, and he threw me in, and it just like, look, I would get smoked in most of those events by most of those guys, but it was a pretty quick workout of ski, erg, and I think single unders with a beaded rope, crossover single unders, which is a skill that I just was good at from childhood. So, I did well on that workout. I would have gotten smashed by you, Coach Bowers, on everything else. I'm pretty confident in that. So take a look at the programming a little bit. If you've been following along, with the World Tour, I usually do an article following every competition at the very least. I think the first one that I haven't really done that for is Wodapalooza, just because this is a fast turnaround. We did a super comprehensive show on it, and there's just so much coverage of it that it seemed maybe not the most necessary. Maybe I'll write one eventually. We'll see. But in a lot of those articles, I talk about the programming and I talk about the overall structure of the competition. And so here I've decided to put a little bit in the preview so you can kind of see how they're managing this 3-day comp for the pro divisions when they have athletes that are doing both. And as I mentioned, there's like an overlapping day. So on Friday, the individuals have 3 events. There's an offsite event. And this actually, I saw Patrick's kind of laughing there when he says 4K run, because we've seen runs of this distance show up a lot in programming this year, in particular, following the 5K at the games. But how many of those athletes are going to all of those events? Not many. Mm-hmm. And this is I wrote an article about this with regards to Olympic lifting a month or 2 ago, because there were some people that were frustrated about Dubai programming an Olympic total, and they're saying that we're getting lazy and redundant with our programming of specific competitions. But it's okay. Oh, Gabby's CrossFit qualifies in our maiden name.
Hell yeah. That's good stuff right there, Lord Wayne.
That is on the female side of things. That can be
Mhm.
a serious, or real. I should say serious. That can be a real challenge.
Mhm.
So great to know that. Thank you.
Oh, look at that good picture with DB.
Is that Lord Wayne?
Yeah.
Lord Wayne and
Oh,
DB? All right. I was at the
yeah.
wedding. There you go. Perfect. Thank
The
you.
Not the wedding with DB. She was just the
So
wedding
we'll
for
pull her CrossFit profile, but if you have any specific workouts that you know that she may do good at or has a history of doing well with, or not, let us know. So 4,000-meter run. Anyway, not all the athletes go to all the competitions.
Yeah.
And so, 5K run is as far as I know, is the most programmed workout in the history of CrossFit.com programming, and actually was programmed yesterday at CrossFit Charlotte. I coached the evening classes there yesterday, and that's what they were doing. So it's like if you're doing CrossFit regularly, you should be running a 5K, once or twice a year anyway. And if it shows up in competition, great. Then you get a chance to it's one of the benchmarks on the CrossFit Games profile. So you don't want to see a 5K at the same competition year after year. If you do many competitions like Shaylin Lora does, maybe you'll hit it twice or over the course of an off season, but that's kind of on you, not on the competition director. And to be able to do an offsite event and offer that, we talked about this with Wodapalooza, for a majority of the divisions and athletes competing in those divisions, is a special part of being involved in a competition. So that'll be happening. They have a pump session workout, rowing, dumbbell bench. I'd say that's moderate weight for the dumbbells, a little bit heavy for some. And then cleans going down, I think, from 4 to 1, increasing from 265 and 165 to 325 and 215. So a little bit of a heavy day there, but testing that in a format that I think most people are pretty receptive to, as opposed to a heavy complex or a 1 rep max lift. And then a MWG style workout with concept 2 biking, sandbag squats, sandbag carries, ring muscle ups, and toes to bar. So that'll be what Friday looks like for the individuals. They'll transition into Saturday, where I think they have 2 events. For the individuals, they should have 2 events on Saturday. They're both pretty short events, 5-minute time caps for both of them. One of them, PCU there, man. Did we lose you?
I am. Nope,
No, you're
I'm
there.
here.
Okay.
I'm
So
listening to you.
if you want to scroll down to the Saturday workouts for
Yep.
individuals, you can.
Sorry.
Nessie and Leviathan. The first one is handstand walking, dumbbell snatch, rope climbs, and lunges. And then the second one is burpee box jump overs and thrusters in, I think, maybe a 2159 format or something like that. But we have links there to all the workouts as well. They've already been announced on Fittest of the Coast's Instagram. And, to run a competition that's continually growing year after year, that caters to 40 plus divisions, 1,200, 13, or almost 1,400 athletes, communication is critical. These guys, from everything I've seen, have that nailed down to a really impressive degree. So the workouts are out there. I know they've been communicating with athletes about things. They just recently put something out about their run. It's like 5 or 6 slides of information that gives the location for pickups of shuttles, drop-off locations, the times that different divisions are competing at, and some extra information there. So I think if you're running competitions, it's really good to kind of keep your ear to the pavement, pay attention to what others are doing, take kind of best practices notes from these people. Kevin and Kyle Olin seems to have a team there who's, very good at getting the information out in an organized manner. So those will be short workouts on that day. And then if you're doing the team competition, they have, I believe, 1 workout on Saturday as well. It's toes to ring, synchro hang squat clean, and then a rig complex or little gymnastics. It's a bar muscle up, 2 chest to bars, 3 pull-ups counts as 1 rig complex in the format that they've created there. And so you think about how that would pair with those 2 other workouts that the individuals have. And if you see that athletes are doing both, you have to be mindful of that in terms of which workout and what style of the team workout are we going to include on the same day as 2 individual workouts. And so those 2 workouts are, short time domains for the individuals. And then I think that one's called, I might have missed one in here. There's another one that I missed.
Okay.
I'll add it in Atlantis.
Uh, see if I can pull it up here. Oh, here, I got it. 1 second.
It has A and B doing similar things, or
Yeah. Athlete
workout
A.
performed
athlete B.
relay style.
Mhm.
A does all the work, then B does all the work. So it's pretty quick, 4 minutes about, and then 4 minutes for the second person. Dumbbell, they got the shoulder overhead with a dumbbell, goblet lunges for small distance, line facing burpees, more lunging, short amount of running, handstand walking, and then we'll go through some of that stuff again. So second workout for the teams on Saturday, we'll add it to the article there. And then that sets up for Sunday. And Sunday's got 3 workouts as well. Two workouts. 2 times you take the floor, but the first workout has 3 parts. So you see the Bermuda Triangle there. It's an AMRAP of snatches, a 1 rep max snatch, and then 8 rounds of dumbbell bench, sandbag to shoulder, and rope climbs. And this is another clever way to get a lot of movements, scores potentially on the board in a small time frame. So you don't have to have the athletes take the floor 100 times during the day. But in this format, they found a way to test them on 3 different things in 1 time on the floor. And then they finish out, I believe, with Davy Jones Locker, which is that worm workout I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Worm thrusters and double unders. I think that when your partner's doing double unders, you have to stay there with the worm on your own and hold it.
Well, it's a 2-person worm, but still, that's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, look, 150 pounds for the male and male-female divisions. If you're the girl there that's left with that 150-pound worm, oof. And then 120 for the women. And then finishing out with an AMRAP of calories on machines. There's both a rower and a biker. Maybe I misread this about the snatch. I see Alicia sitting here. I wish we had 8 minutes for the max snatch. I was trying to pull all this information pretty quick and organize it. So we'll go back and make sure that we have it accurate there. Maybe it's up until the 8-minute window. I'm not sure. Anyway, you get a general idea of the programming. There's a link to their schedule there at the bottom of the website. And I just thought it was kind of cool to include that to kind of see how you would do something like this over 3 days for people that are competing in both divisions.
That is, there's a schedule. Well, here's Alicia.
So it's 4 minutes.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Alicia. We'll make those changes and add that other one. It's kind of cool seeing the nautical terms that he's using. Obviously, Fittest on the coast, so using a lot of nautical terms.
They have the logo that they have in general. Yes. I think it's like, I don't know, it looks like the father from The Little Mermaid.
It's Poseidon.
Is it Poseidon with the trident there?
Yeah, it's Poseidon. Here, I'll pull it up. Oh, that's it. But yeah, it's Poseidon.
I've been compared to Poseidon before. And I had
in what ways?
I had really long hair and a long beard back in 2012, I think, when I was living and working in the Dominican Republic, and we went to the beach every day with the volunteers. And one day I just walked out of the water and someone commented that I looked like Poseidon.
Okay.
I took that as a compliment. That was before I even started lifting weights. So certainly didn't have the musculature of this guy.
Definitely. Okay. I'll go with that. Poseidon, sure. I've heard you called other things.
Yeah.
But I believe it. So that's pretty much Fittest of the Coast. You get there Thursday. Action starts on Thursday or Friday.
Friday, yeah. I'll drive up tomorrow at some point. It's a couple hours out there. I think it's the only competition. It's off season. Well, no, that's not true. Obviously Charlotte Classic and then Crash Crucible. So there's some competitions over here that I can drive to, which is always nice. And this is obviously one of them.
Yeah. So if you're in the area, definitely swing on by, cheer on some of these amazing athletes, take a picture of Brian, but first tell him your name first. And also just tune into their Instagram channel, as Brian will be going live, streaming some of those live, as well as on his probably own personal Instagram. But yeah, one
Yeah, my guess
thing.
is that I'll probably do the streaming on my own, and then
Mhm.
I will do some stuff with their media teams in terms of recaps and whatever that will be on theirs and or in collaboration with.
Yeah, so swing on. Obviously, it's great. Great organizers. All the communication I've seen so far, especially to you, from them, has been amazing, and we're hoping more competitions will do that as well. Before we go, there's a couple things I wanted to bring up. We had a post this morning, and we've been getting a lot of love from this post. But yeah, it was kind of a last minute, but we were able to gather a team together, and I'd be remiss if we didn't at least recognize them. So we posted up this morning, and yeah, none of this would have been possible without everyone involved, whether it be Brian on the broadcast, Chad, you know, filling in, and actually not filling in, just basically getting reps as a pod on the podcast. And then, just our content creators, whether it be Truth Phones, Marus, he's freaking been crushing it for us. And those who don't know him, that guy, I don't know. I've heard other content creators just wanting to adapt his type of style and how fast and his work ethic. So we should be having here shortly from him, actually a full highlight, hopefully a couple minute highlight package from him that we can't wait to see. I'm pretty sure it's going to be outstanding.
Yeah, he did one of those after Dubai. If you
Yeah,
haven't had a chance to watch it, go check it out. It's on both Truth Films and B.Friendly Fitness
yeah.
Instagrams, and he's an absolute wizard, man. Been a pleasure to work with him. We worked with him in Madrid and Dubai, now Wodapalooza, and absolutely we'll be working with him again going forward.
Yeah, definitely. And then it was kind of like a last minute thing, but we were able to shoot 2 podcasts for their live podcasts, and kind of last minute. The cool thing about Wodapalooza is like you can basically, if you need a guest, you can probably find one.
Let's look
And
up
we're
and someone's
lucky.
walking by.
Exactly. So this picture cracks me up because Jason was walking by, and I was trying to get Hopper to come on because he was going to get a bowl, and he was like, no, and then he grabbed Dallin, was actually sitting on the stage behind us, and he made Dallin come up, and it was actually pretty cool. To kind of share there, and also have you come up for a little bit to talk during one of your free times, and yeah, that was really fun. So if you haven't been able, we do have both of those up on our YouTube channel. If you want to listen to those, the audio kind of goes out here and there. It was the best we could do. Wex did an amazing job with the conditions. It's hard to shoot a podcast outdoor when it's raining.
Rain and
Mark,
mud and everything's
yeah,
wet. Yeah.
yeah. And so he did the best he can. He did a great job of it. So much love to Wex, and great job handling that. I think every time slot he had for podcasts was filled, whether it be by us or Shut Up a Scribble, Coffee Pods and Wads, whoever it was great. Barkley was there providing just great stuff for us all weekend. I know he was, you worked with him more than I did because of the broadcast. So, thanks
He jumped
again.
on a few podcasts as well with us
I
and with a couple
know.
others. So hopefully more people are starting to recognize him and appreciate the value add that he is. Like I said, majority of the information that I have for a lot of the competitions I go to is being pulled straight from the database that he has compiled over the last several years.
Yeah. So it's pretty exciting to have him down there and just see how he's grown into his role. And, it's someone that I've known Barkley for a minute, and we've talked about this, and now to actually see him doing it, it's good. It's really cool. And our boy Roth, he's worked with us. This will be his 3rd time working with us, capturing images for us. So as always, it was great to have him down there. It's such a positive attitude, and he's just, he shoots some amazing stuff. So, much love to him. Make sure you give all these people a follow, a like, comment, if you can. Show them how appreciative you are. And if you're looking for a content creator like someone like Marus or Raf, those are some, you'll see Raf this weekend. He'll be up there shooting some of the blacklisted athletes, I believe. Of course, Bella, those recaps, been great. I think she's giving the same look that she gives you to athletes on this picture. So, Bella's been a great addition to the team, and we're looking forward to doing just more stuff with her. We got some cool stuff planned. Um, Basically around the opening quarterfinals that I can't wait to have Bella involved with it. And then yeah, screw that guy.
What a
Um,
great picture. Who took that picture?
that was, I think, believe Chad. So, oh, if you notice patches, we do have patches available on SherpaWorks page. So we do have our patches there for purchase. So we'll have those. Yeah. And you're probably wondering why I lost my voice is probably from laughing and talking to people all weekend.
I might have a few patches on me at the Fittest of the Coast this
Yeah.
weekend. If you happen to get lucky and ask for one, well, you might get one.
Mhm. Yeah. So ask for a patch. So I just wanted, I'd be remiss if I didn't again mention everyone that made it possible this weekend. Like I said, it was a small team, but we made it work and it was great. And all the love that we got from people telling us about the coverage and everything, we wouldn't be able to do it without you. And we weren't able to do it without our sponsors, Strike Move, and of course HGR as well. And speaking of HGR, here, I thought Barley was AI. Speaking of HGR, again, use friend20 for 20% off their CBD products. Website's really simple to use. You go there, they have everything for rest, recovery. Again, for like I said, I use them for my dogs, especially as much traveling as I do. They suffer from anxieties because I'm always on the road. So that's what I use them for. I have my brother kind of, feed them a little bit of the HGR. So Carl and his team, amazing product. It's probably the best product out there from what I've heard. Like I said, I personally don't use it on myself. I do use the roller, but it's only because it doesn't go in my bloodstream and I don't get tested for it. And this is a roller, not underarm deodorant, as I, but I can't wait till at some point trying those gummies because I've heard good things about the gummies and the sleep as well. So, yeah.
Any other updates we need to fill in on, Patrick?
Well, I reposted something today on our B.Friendly story from DB. I thought it was really cool. She mentioned something towards the end of that post that, trying to get back to being the old DB. And I think she didn't mean that just on the competition floor, but I also think like personally and getting in just her confidence as well. So I thought that was really cool. It's a moment we don't see. Well, actually, compared to other sports, I think CrossFit's really good about it, especially the athletes about showing their vulnerability on their Instagram. So, it's just kind of cool seeing that from someone like DB. Oh, wait, here we go. Carl.
Yeah. Carl's just informing, clarifying. Pure CBD isolate in their products, no THC. Las Vegas Metro PD have some people out there that's using it as well. They're based out in Las Vegas.
All right, Carl. I might have to start using the gummies then. All right. But in terms of news, it's kind of like a dead period after Wodapalooza. I mean, all the athletes, all the managers, all the brands that kind of just go back and they're just and then now it's preparing for the season.
And it might not be. I mean, look, there's competitions. We're going to be at Fittest of the Coast, Fittest Experience. We're going to Spain the weekend after that for the Pamplona Pixel Arena games. And then there's and we'll talk about all those things in the coming weeks. But in the meantime, as many of you know, there's content producers and creators that are regularly putting out stuff for CrossFit. And I think contrary to what may have been represented or understood is we're not at odds with those people. And in fact, some of them are very close friends. In less than an hour from now, over on Coffee Pods and Wads, the semifinal number 2 for Around the Whiteboard is taking place. It'll be, is it Barbell Spin?
Yes,
Taylor Self and Pat Vellner.
Yeah,
throwing down in the semifinal for a place in the final. I would encourage you guys to go watch that. I think Peter's done a great job with that show. He on that show, he like reminds me of Drew Carey from Whose Line Is It Anyway? Where like he could be one of the contestants, and so therefore he can contribute to the conversations, and he has, I think, a good ability to kind of assess and evaluate, the arguments that are being made. It's coming into its own, I think. So check that out at 3 Eastern, and then tonight, as it seems to be the case every Wednesday night, on the Barbell Spin, who I've been working more and more with the Barbell Spin. As far as I'm concerned, he, we provide a lot. I provide a lot of written content that's more of about the athletes and the competitions that I'm participating with. He's going to provide you with more of, in terms of the competition side of things. When it's written, it's more informative, but he's diving into news, like the up-to-date news with the CrossFit sports specifically. You're not going to find a better place for that. He publishes great stuff over there, and every Wednesday, John Young, and Tyler Watkins, who are friends of mine for years now, do a show. They'll be doing a show tonight. It's titled "What Do We Learn from Tier Wodapalooza?" I know a lot of you guys will watch it anyway, but if you haven't been, I think it's a great watch on every Wednesday. So go and check those guys out. And I know that there have been a few times that we've scheduled shows that have overlapped with one or two of these things. We try to avoid that as much as possible and be especially conscientious of those platforms that have shows that are at specific times. I know we had in the past week or two, we overlap with Shut Up and Scribble one day. I try to avoid that as much as possible. Sometimes my schedule is just a little crazy and I do want to get something out there. So I appreciate you guys being, patient and understanding with that. But check out Peter's show later at 3 and then Barbell Spin tonight.
Yeah, definitely. What Brian said, it was really cool. I've worked with Spin a couple times. Actually, before I even worked with Morning Chalk Up, I actually worked with Spin as a photographer for the Mac. And I've seen him at work, and then watching him working this past week, at behind the scenes, that guy,
I think of him like a ninja out there.
Yes, he really is. Like every time I saw him, he was talking to somebody, whether it was an athlete or someone that was involved in CrossFit. And if you watch any of his video content he put out this weekend, you can see he's hard at work, and he's trying to find the best coverage for you, just like all of us are. And he's really good at it. And if you're, there's a lot to be learned from someone like him, and he does a good job with it. And he's very respectful. And a lot of athletes, they appreciate what he does. And to kind of see him out there, kind of making a name for himself, because I didn't know what the guy looked like for like 3 years, but now he's putting himself out there. And I think that's important. I think it's important. I mean, we've had that conversation with Chad, our own Chad, who, we want to get his face out there so that way he can do some of this stuff. And he's picked it up immediately. But like you said,
both of those guys have put out some BTS style content from Wodapalooza as well. They break it up. I think Spin does it by day, and Peter did it more by division, like an individual and then a team one. I haven't had a chance to watch either of those yet. I haven't really watched anything, but I'm sure that it's good stuff. Both of them have unique styles, great relationship with athletes, and give you guys kind of the stuff that you can't see on the competition floor in terms of what the athletes are thinking about and doing when they're not out there competing.
Just great stuff. Like I can't reiterate, Peter does a great job with the show. The guests he's been bringing on in terms of the game show has been great. It was cool watching Taylor and Brent on at the same time, and it was just really cool. It was really cool, and so it'll be really fun to watch Taylor and Vellner and see how they go with Spin in there too. So it's just kind of like, it'll be really cool. So make sure you tune into those. He's been doing a great job with that. Same with I know I'll be tuning in probably in the comments with tonight's show with Spinny and them. I always love giving John a little bit of crap here and there, but he takes it and he gives it back to me, and I love it. And just, if anything, just to get him up, get that voice rise, and the more he screams, the more views they get. So but that's it. That's all we have this week. Again, next week we'll be back. We'll be doing a preview of the Fittest experience there in the Austin, Texas area. And then we are currently trying to schedule a guest for early next week. And so tune in for that. It'll be someone, hopefully someone that everyone will tune in and enjoy to hear talk and watch. So John never stops screaming. True. But with that being said, thank you for everyone that tuned in and those who are downloading us on our podcast formats. Thank you for that. And we'll see you again. And as always, be friendly, our friends.